Now let's see how chromatography works. So when you do chromatography, there's going to be a solvent that we're going to use. The solvent can be any liquid, like water, a salt solution, alcohol and water. It could be different solvents mixed together. So the solvent is going to be in contact with paper. So as you know, when you have paper in contact with the liquid, the paper is going to soak up the liquid. So the paper here, this is the chromatography paper. Now this is going to be dipped in the solvent, and on the paper we're going to have a line here. This line is in pencil. It is called the base line, and on this line we're going to put spots of our sample. So as you see here, we have the spots of sample and you have the baseline. Now the baseline should be drawn in pencil. It should be straight, and it should be drawn in pencil because if you have ink on that baseline, as the solvent is moving up the paper, it's going to separate the ink of the baseline as well as the sample. So then you will have the ink of the baseline that would mix with the sample. So it's going to interfere with our results. We will not know which spots are from the ink of the baseline and which spots are from our sample. So to be on the safe side, we'll use pencil as the baseline. Now here you have the chromatography tank. This could be a beaker, or you could call it a chromatography tank. If you're doing it at home, that would just be a glass. And as you dip the paper into the solvent, so the solvent will start to be soaked up by the paper, and as it soaks up, it's going to move the components of the sample along with it. So let's say this is the sample, the components of the sample, and the sample contains A, B, and C. So it's a mixture of A, B, and C. Now, as the solvent is moving up, the solvent is going to carry A, B, and C along with it. Now, depending on the solubility of A, B, and C in the solvent, now solubility means that bonds are being formed. So when something is soluble in a solvent, it means the solvent is forming bonds with that substance. So if C is most soluble, means that C will form strong bonds with the solvent. And if it forms strong bonds with the solvent, it means that the solvent will carry it along with it for a longer distance. So as you see here, C is the most soluble, and because it's the most soluble, the solvent carries it for a longer distance till the top. And component A is the least soluble, so it moves the smallest distance with the solvent. So component A stays at the bottom, stays well behind component C. So the solvent keeps up moving, and we're going to stop the chromatography when the solvent has reached near the top of the paper. So we remove the paper from the chromatography tank and we allow the solvent to dry a bit. And we see that there is going to be kind of a line that is formed by the solvent. And we're going to draw with pencil on this line, and this is called the solvent front. And it is the solvent front is where the solvent stops. So this is how chromatography takes place. So on your paper, you're going to label the different parts of the chromatography. Now, we include a cover lid. Now, the cover lid here is to prevent any solvent from evaporating. As you know, alcohol is a volatile solvent, so which means that it evaporates easily. So we do not want the solvent to evaporate as we're doing the chromatography. So to prevent any volatile solvent from evaporating, we cover the chromatography. But if you're using water or salt solution, there is no need to use a cover lid because it will not evaporate. So cover lid is used for volatile solvents. So that's it for the explanation on chromatography.